Good morning, everyone. We're going to go ahead and start in a minute. I think there's still people
I
coming
think a
in.
couple of people are still trickling in.
Yeah.
Aranza, is that everybody?
Yes, as far as I can see, that's everybody right now.
Okay, so we can just get started. Great. Welcome, everybody. Hope your summer's going well. Thanks for taking some time out of your busy, relaxing schedule to come and spend a little time with us. We're going to talk about digital student portfolios today and their connection to social emotional learning. Let's jump straight into it. My name's Eric Anderson. I teach at Pinacate Middle School. I've been there for 15 years, just about to start my 16th year. I taught math for 9 years and then got a second lease on life and the opportunity to teach computer science, which I love way more than teaching math. Sorry, all you math teachers, but it's true. If you ever get a chance to teach computer science, it's awesome. I love teaching an elective. It's a lot different than teaching a core subject. Suits me a lot better. And we've got a great program over at Pinacate. But enough about me. And here's my wonderful co-presenter.
Hi, everyone. I am Brenda Nievas. I teach at the same school with Eric, Pinacate Middle School. I teach Spanish. This is going to be, I'm going to start my 10th year teaching. My background is in bilingual education. I was a bilingual teacher for 6 years in the middle school, teaching ELD, language arts, and history in Spanish. And I'm excited to be here. I'm excited to share a little bit of knowledge that we have about portfolios, but I really hope that you guys just take that chance and use that wonderful tool that we have.
So Brenda and I have each been using portfolios for the last couple of years, and more and more so over the past year because of distance learning. And this presentation is largely a hypothetical exploration of what's possible with digital portfolio. These are the things we see could happen, could be, that we could achieve, that we can realize these results. Because based on what we've seen so far using portfolios. So this is the way the presentation is broken down. First, we're going to talk about what student portfolios are. We'll show you a couple of examples. And again, we'll highlight what we might be able to do with them, their potential power. Second part of the presentation will be talking about social emotional learning, two components of SEL specifically, being self-awareness, self-management, and how portfolios tie in to those skills. And then thirdly, we'll talk about the benefits, not just for students in asking them to maintain portfolios, but also for all other stakeholders in educational process, including admin and parents and other educators. And then finally, and what we're hoping for is that we'll save plenty of time to explore the tools that we're going to show you about. We're going to specifically explore new Google Sites, which is how Brenda and I both maintain our student portfolios. And then you can brainstorm, you can play around and see if this might be something that you want to incorporate into your teaching. And we'll hopefully be answering all the questions along the way. If we happen to skip your question by mistake, please do ask it, do contribute to the discussion, because again, our goal is not to come off as the experts in all things student portfolios. We are excited by what we've seen and their potential. And so we want to try and light that fire for you. And but if many of you might already be working with student portfolios or have a lot of experience in another way that's relevant to our presentation, please jump on in, let us know, and let us all benefit from the richness of your experience too. Okay, let's start off with digital student portfolios. Let's look at a few examples and discuss what they are, basically. So a student portfolio would primarily be created by the student. That's the main thing. Teachers can provide the platform, which we'll show you. We'll show you how you can set that up for your students. But teachers would say, students, here is a way to open a new Google site. I want you to now fill it with content. I want you to fill it with evidence of your learning, and I want you to be reflective about that learning. And that's essentially what student portfolio is. Students are loading screenshots, Flipgrid videos, documents, pretty much anything that can be digitally represented can then be inserted into a digital portfolio using Google Sites. It would be evidence of what they have achieved. Project-based learning ties so well in with keeping a portfolio because you can have them document the phases of their progress as they go. And then the main piece that ties it into SEL is having the students be reflective about what they learned, how they learned it, whether they were proud of their accomplishment, whether anyone else was proud of them, and tying in some of their thoughts and feelings about the learning process to the results of their efforts. That's the key to helping them mature and become that, that strong, independent learner. So in our district, students get a Chromebook at the beginning of 7th grade and then keep that same Google account all the way through 12th grade. So it's possible that if a few of their teachers along the way, the more the better, but as they go through every grade level between 7th and 12th grade, by the time they graduate, they will have a 6-year record of what they have achieved, all the projects they have completed, their own reflections about how they felt during those times. And so it would be a fantastic record for them to look back on and to enjoy and also to learn from. And now a few examples of what I'm talking about.
Okay, so we included, 4 examples. 2 of them are from the computer science class that Eric teaches, and then the other 2 are from my Spanish class. So let me show you the ones that are mine. So Eric, can you click on Alicia?
Sure. Aranza, are you able to
and if you don't have, yes, if you don't have the presentation open, they're going to be dropping the links for the portfolios in the chat. But like Eric said, he has a little bit more experience with portfolios than I have, and very simple. The way I introduced the portfolio, it was the why first, rather than the what. So I told them, we talked about why we were going to use the or create a portfolio, and we were going to keep assignments there. So I told them that the reason why was because this is a tool that we can use to not only develop, but improve skills that they have right now, and they're going to be using for their entire life. I also told them that their portfolio is theirs. I just help them to set it up, and then they just make it their own. So that means that they can add, images, GIFs, they can have different fonts, just to make it more personal, because the more personal the portfolio becomes, the more powerful it is for the students and for the teachers as well. So if you notice, this will be the front page. Just very simple, the student's name. And then if we scroll down, you can see just a brief description of who that person is. And then like the goals that they wanted to, that this particular student had for this, last year. Okay, and then, hold on, let me move, so I can see. And then you can have a table of contents. So you can set it up from the very beginning. You can just create a table of contents and say, okay, these are all the pages that we're going to go through the school year. And as we going through, we can just go ahead and add content. Or you can, as you go through your lessons or your units, you can add, you know, the pages and then the content. So in my case, we just created the pages and we added the content as we went through the unit. So this one would be like the first unit. And then we talked about classes, like what was their schedule like. And then that was it. And if you go to the other one,
the other example, Brenda, or
no,
this one?
The last one where it says, activities. Okay, those are like activities that they do in school or outside school. But there is, I think it's the second one. I just wanted to show you that they can upload images. If you go back to the table of contents. Yeah, click on unit 1, mi identidad. There you go. Yeah. So just like Eric said, it could be anything that that you want them to include, and also you can just give them that agency for students to choose what assignments they're really proud and they want to incorporate in the portfolio. And it doesn't have to be always like a Google Doc or a video or you know, slide presentation. It could be something, you know, that they did on paper, like this one. They created an acrostic poem, take a quick picture and then upload it. And then you see on the right side, this is where you this is how the tools that you use to create your portfolio, insert. So that's when you insert your table of contents. Then you go to pages. And then within that page, you can have sub-pages. So at the beginning, when you set it up, you definitely want to just spend some time to help students to create that portfolio, just like Eric did. But at the end of this session, Eric is going to walk you through, and you're going to have time to not be afraid, go to Google Sites and create your portfolio. And then you can show one of your examples so they can see the difference.
Oh, sure.
Thank you.
So, Aranza, how can I get the toolbar in black for the Zoom meeting to collapse because it's blocking all my tabs?
You can
try to move it manually.
Yeah.
Can I just move it? Oh, okay, perfect.
Yeah.
Okay, thanks. So here's an example of a student in my class. Like I was mentioning, portfolios are tailor-made, especially if you're into project-based learning and you tend to do longer units. Like some of the units I do with my kids are between 2 and 3 months long. And so having them post evidence of their learning as they go through the project and reflect on it, I mean, it's these two things go hand in hand. So like Brenda was showing you, you can, when you have, and we'll show you more about this at the end of the presentation, but you can, which is what I did here. I had the students create all these pages called my digital badges, and then the various units we were going to do throughout the year, history of computing, how the internet works, et cetera, website development. Not sure why he has 2 of those, but I wanted to show you the very last unit that we worked on during the year is from code.org. Actually, it's called Animations and Games. And so what I had students do is take a screenshot every time they got to a certain point in that unit. All the curriculum is laid out and it's basically self-paced. So to monitor how they were making progress, I would have them at the end of every lesson take a screenshot and then write a descriptive summary of what they accomplished. And of course, the key is, and not many students really did this, but hypothetically, the key is to have them reflect on what they did, to provide some personal commentary that goes with their summary, because yeah, anyone can write a summary, but the thing that's going to tie this into something stronger, something that's going to help them mature and gain something socially and emotionally, is having them reflect on it in a metacognitive way. What did I do? How did I do it? How did I feel? What was special? You know, you can even give them a list of questions that they could answer, and maybe even just start with one sentence. So you say, okay, I want you to write a summary of what you did, but then I want one sentence that answers one of these questions. How did you feel? Was someone proud of you when you finished? Did you show anybody? Did you share it with anybody? That kind of thing. And then once they get used to sharing how they were feeling, they're going to start developing those pathways in their brain that link their results of their effort with what they're doing as they're doing it. And that's the goal. So you can see that this student tends to love, this is a 7th grade student, tends to love expository writing, has no problem writing the detailed summary. The trick was writing that reflective piece. I didn't get all the students to buy in, and that's something that I'm going to work on this next year. Part of my problem was something I learned, I'll pass on to you if you're interested in doing this. Try to think of a way to set up your portfolio at the beginning of the year and not change those directions during the year. It's very confusing for students. I had students doing one thing one way at the beginning of the year, then I switched it up and I wanted them to do something different, to write something different, and to post evidence of their learning in a different way. It became very confusing for some students. So try and pre-think that as much as you can and give them one set of directions they can stick with for the entire year. So that's just an example of how something that's project-based can work, and also be great for teachers to then jump into this portfolio and grade it. This is actually how I graded students' progress on their project and their final grade for their project, based on how much they got done, based on how well they were writing their summaries, and following the directions that I gave them for maintaining their portfolio.
Thank you, Eric. And just to add something else with the reflection, is so difficult for students to understand when they have to the difference between a reflection and a summary. And just like Eric said, just, you know, you can guide them with questions, and also you can provide sentence frames so they can get started, because the hardest part is for them to start, right? Like, how do I start this reflective piece?
Some students may never have done anything like a student portfolio, and wouldn't even understand what the point is, which is why you mentioned, Brenda, talking with them about the why. Why are we doing this? What are we going to gain out of this? What's going to be the benefit? You know, and you can talk to them that they're going to have this brilliant record of what they've been doing and how they've been feeling along the way for as long as they can maintain it.
And in addition to that, another way that you can support your students while they're creating their portfolios is just by doing how-to videos. We know that sometimes being in the classroom and helping students to set up their portfolio could be challenging. So because not everybody's at the same pace. So if you provide a how-to video, students can just go back and watch it, pause it, go back to their portfolio. Oh, I missed this step. Oh, I need to do this. And it's like literally you sitting with them, and they just do it at their own pace. So just having those how-to videos, they're very helpful. And Eric's gonna just show you like the 10 seconds of his video. Mine is in Spanish, but we have found that how-to videos are the way to go, and we're gonna continue this once we go back to face-to-face.
So this is just a screencast of, I have the little picture of me talking. This is just going to guide students on how to go to new Google Sites, click on the plus to create a new one, and then guiding them through the creation of their pages. And then that's pretty much all I wanted to do at the beginning. It's just to create the template, the empty book that they are then going to fill with the content, with the evidence of their learning as we go through all the work that we do during the year. So just a side note, my particular preference for screencasting is a tool called Screencastify. You might have your own. I highly recommend Screencastify. It's free up to a certain point. If you think you're going to be making a lot of videos, which I did, I think I made in the neighborhood of 175 screencasts last year. So I bought the year-long license, which lets me have unlimited storage, unlimited videos, $24.99, I think it was. Awesome money, because basically it gives me the flexibility to create a flipped classroom and to really allow students to go at their own pace through the material that I present. So I can have students way out here, way advanced. I can have students that are barely getting started after 6 weeks. They still don't know where the link is. You guys know what I'm talking about. They don't know where to go. They haven't started, you know, oh, well, I'm not going to then pause the class and teach to some intermediate level when we know there really isn't one. You know, I'm going to miss the boat for 80% of the students. So better have a sequence of videos that guides them from wherever they are to wherever you want them to go. That's personally, I'm finding to be extremely valuable. Side note about screencasts. Sorry, got off track there.
And then Eric is going to tell you briefly how the portfolio is tied to social and emotional learning, so we can have time to.
And I don't want to really spend too much time on this. I mean, this is a topic. This is a real rabbit hole. We could talk for days about this, theoretically, about what social and emotional learning is, how it applies in the field of education, et cetera. So I'm just going to very briefly scratch the surface, just so that we can talk about how portfolios could be a tool that enables greater level of social emotional learning. So there's a great resource out there, a website put out by the Collaborative for Academic, Social and Emotional Learning, or SEL. This is a quotation from their website, basically summarizing what SEL is. It's the process through which everyone acquires everything they need to have a healthy identity. That's basically what social emotional learning is. So we all learn the ways to manage ourselves, to be aware of ourselves, so that we are able to be healthy in our identity, not only in our self-identity, but in our identity that we share with the public. So here's a nice framework that CASEL puts out. Oh, I can move that bar too. This is great. Sorry. I'm just realizing I can move all these little tools around from Zoom. I'm not a Zoom person. I'm a Google Meet person. Sorry, now I can see my own screen. So this is a nice framework that they put out. And basically, Brenda and I think that portfolios, digital portfolios specifically, can augment the two orange sections of the framework: self-awareness and self-management. Students can learn the discipline. They can learn to be more independent, so they can learn become stronger agents for themselves, advocates for themselves, by keeping a portfolio. Because again, the key is that reflective piece, asking them to reflect on their learning, why, how, what it felt like, who saw it, who did you share it with, what did you like about it, what did you not like about it. That all gives them insight into who they are, at least relative to what they're learning. And that's what we're focusing on. So, and you can see that the concentric circles, they widen out from the classroom and the things that you're doing with your kids, like portfolios, all the way out to the site-wide culture, and then finally into families and communities as you keep spreading. We're going to talk about the benefits for all stakeholders in just a second, but definitely portfolios help students become stronger people in terms of their self-awareness and self-management. And then that in turn enables the schools, the families and communities to be even stronger as well, because, well, again, we could get into this and talk about it forever, but we want to save time for you guys to mess around in new Google sites. So let's keep moving forward. Brenda, you want to talk to them a little bit about like drilling down a little bit into these things a little bit more?
Yes. So we believe that with portfolios, we can cover those two components, self-awareness and self-management. middle school, high school students, sometimes it's challenging for them to understand emotions and thoughts and also value them as well, right? But with portfolios, I think when students make content personal in the way that we can allow them to make it more personal, would be just to allow them, you know, okay, you have unit 2, we did 5 assignments, choose the ones that you want to attach to your portfolio. And then you're gonna write a reflection. And then they're gonna see, maybe they're gonna reflect on how well they did that assignment, what were the challenges or the barriers, how were they feeling when they did that assignment, especially we're coming out of COVID. You know, a lot of students were going through difficult times, maybe family, you know, were sick or they just had different challenges. So just making it more personal, it allows them to become more self-awareness, because they're gonna reflect on that, and maybe they're gonna go back and say, oh, well, yeah, I didn't do that well, but these are the reasons. Oh, I didn't do that well, but my teacher suggested that I could do this or do that. So it's another way for them to, you know, a tool for them to use to draw on other tools for them to continue their learning. Okay, and then self-management, once again, it helps them to, you know, just build self-agency. Do you want to go to the next one?
Yeah.
This one. Yeah. Okay, yeah. So integrating personal and social identities, demonstrating honesty and integrity, linking feelings, values, and thoughts, experience self-advocacy, having a growth mindset. This is huge. Sometimes, you know, they have that fixed mindset. Oh, I can't do that. No, but if students have the opportunity to keep their portfolios, let's say they start in middle school and then they carry it on to their high school years, they can go back and they can see the process and the progress that they make, and
stuff they might have forgotten about.
Go ahead.
Right.
Oh yes, absolutely. They're like, oh, I forgot about this. Oh, so yeah, it's a really powerful tool for them to use. And now you're going to talk about, and one more thing, is digital and is, accessible. So they have it at the fingertips. They don't have to carry it around. It's there.
Right. So self-awareness, Brenda, thanks. And self-management. So basically being able to set goals and meet them, planning and organizing themselves, their feelings. Again, that reflective piece, not only showing evidence of their learning, but reflecting on it, is the key to all of these great things. And not only are portfolios, we think, very valuable for students, but we believe that it's a win-win for everybody who's involved with that student. Teachers, admin, parents, everybody. We'll talk about that just for a moment because we're almost right on a half an hour. So we'd like to keep most of the rest of the time so we can answer questions and or just mess around with Google Sites. So students, hopefully we've already made this point. If we haven't, we have failed miserably in our presentation. How portfolios are beneficial for students. We think it can greatly enhance their social emotional growth and their independent agency. And for parents, if I need to, as a teacher, I can share the portfolio with any parent, and parents can then see very clearly what the student may have done or what they may not have done, especially if they have corroborating information from Google Classroom or from the SIS that's listing the assignments and the directions. Then they can square that with, sit down with their student, maybe log in with them to look at their portfolio and say, hey, wait, the directions say you should be finishing part 7 of this project by this Friday, but I see that you've only finished part 2. What's going on? They can start having, a discussion about that. Whereas if they were only relying on whether an assignment is complete or incomplete from the SIS, or complete or incomplete by looking at Google Classroom, they can't get that specific detailed information. So portfolios can fill that, that need very nicely. Brenda?
Educators, I really like this one because it's definitely a tool for grading. You can use it to grade your students. Evidence of learning is there, and also you can share it with other teachers. You can bring other teachers on board, and they can use that portfolio that has been created. They can students add pages to other subject or other classes, and not only students are going to see what they have done or they're doing in your class, but also what they're doing in their other classes. So it just becomes very powerful. And then this portfolio can also be shared with an administrator. And I think it's really important, or is very useful if you create a portfolio for just IEP purposes. Sometimes special ed teachers ask for just work samples of the students' work, and there you go. You have it right there. So
how powerful it would be at an IEP for the special education teacher to pull up a student's portfolio if every one of his teachers was using that portfolio. It's a one-stop shop at that point.
There you go.
Right? So that's it. And then for any other special events like parent-teacher conferences, or especially student-led conferences, back to school night or other special events, having a student log into their portfolio and be able to demonstrate that or show that to anybody could be very powerful. Not only just their parents, but if they're doing a great job and the teacher wants to highlight what a great job they're doing on the portfolio, that could become something to demonstrate at a special night, like science night or a winter arts night, or something like that. So that's pretty much it. Thanks a lot. Thanks for being here. We'd like to save the rest of the time. I would like to take you through a little tutorial of Google Sites. I'm hoping that could be helpful for some of you, maybe who have not really explored that tool. And then Brenda, I think we're going to look at the chat, right? And make sure that all the questions get answered.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Or if anyone would like to jump in right now and just unmute themselves, and we could have a discussion about anything that's on your mind, that'd be cool too.
And if you have the presentation open, you can just click on where it says explore new Google Sites, and it takes you to Google Sites, and then you can start playing with it.
Yeah, I mean, I can do that too.
Yeah.
I'll do that, and then I can just guide some folks on how to get a new Google site started and some basic operations there. Sound good?
Sounds like a plan.
All right, let's go. New Google Sites, here we go.
And it would be great if someone wants to share any experiences with Google Sites, creating or working with,
or any other platform
digitals.
that you use for portfolios, or any other experiences that you've had. We're all ears. Like we mentioned, we are not coming at you like the experts, but more like the hopeful experimenters with student portfolios, and hoping to, work maybe closely with some of you who take on this idea, and we can keep talking, discussing throughout the year how it's going, what's working, what isn't working, and we can help each other keep refining this idea until it's really, really something slick. So anyway, it's important when you go to use Google Sites, if you'd like to do it, a quick plug about Google Sites and why we use it. It is so easy to use. And if I were sitting in the crowd right now and it was 2 years ago, I'd be like, what? What are you guys smoking? You're crazy. Google Sites is like, it's totally difficult to use and not intuitive. And that's because that was the old Google Sites. So it's really important when you go to use Google Sites that you use the new Google Sites. Very, very important. The new Google Sites is completely streamlined, completely intuitive. You'd almost have a hard time going there and not knowing what to do. If you just go there and start looking around the buttons, it's really pretty easy, but I'll take you through it. So here we are at the new Google Sites. All you'd have to do, if you didn't click the link or don't have it right now, is type into the search bar new Google Sites and then click the first link that you see. and you'll be right here. And then here's the plus for creating a blank site. You click it. This is assuming that you have a Google account, and I mean, everybody does, right, Brenda? That's my bias. That's my bias showing through right now. So here we are. This is a new blank Google site. So where you want to start is, say you're a teacher and you're in front of the classroom and you're like, boys and girls, I'm going to show you what to do to start creating your site. Well, the first thing you probably want to do is give the site a title in the upper left-hand corner. So, in the upper left-hand corner, I personally ask the students to use their first and last name in their title. Why? Because that makes it very easy for me when it's time to grade their work to search for their name. So all I do is have a grade book open. I start typing a few letters of their last name. It auto-completes for me. A lot of times, I'll start typing in a student's name, and the autocomplete options have the link to their portfolio right there. So it's a one-click, go straight to that student's portfolio, and then I can grade it. So that's why I have the students put their name in the title. And then you can have them give it a main title for this page, my first page. They can customize this with custom themes, custom colors. You saw in the example that Brenda pulled up that the student had loaded an anime animation in their header. That's pretty much completely up to the students, and you can get into that or not. It's up to you, the teacher. I don't get into it too much, but even though I don't cover all of that stuff, I see a huge variety in font styles, colors, images, animated stuff. Kids are into that. They'll get into it on their own, even seventh graders, even very young students. I'm not sure elementary, you may want to guide them a little bit more on that. But yeah, so once they have the name of the portfolio, its title, maybe they've got a label for their first page. Let's say you want them to create, like I do, I have the students create a template for the semester at least, or maybe even for the year. So what I'll do is I'll have them create all their pages first. So you have them go over here, right-hand side to pages, click on pages. And then the way I like to do it, you don't have to do it this way, but I like for the students to create subpages. And the reason is because if you don't have them create subpages, then all the page names show up at the top of the screen and start cluttering up the website. I think it looks cluttered. So, but if you have them create a subpage under the home page, and you just do that, click the three dots, click add subpage, give it a name, my second page, oops, I can type. And then done, then the second page becomes a subpage of the home page. And then what you'll have is a nice drop-down menu with all the pages that students create, if they're all subpages right there. And if they're not hovering over that, then you're not cluttering up this header with a bunch of words and names of pages and stuff if you're going to have a lot. So from there, let's just add another one real quick, add subpage, my third page. Oops, I really can't type, I swear. Summer though, you know, I'm out of practice, I'm rusty. Okay, so there, we've got two pages showing up right there. They can click on either one they want, and away we go. Let's say you want them to put something on their home page, have them click on that. This table of contents is always accessible. They can collapse it if they want to, or expand it. But then go to the insert menu, and the insert menu is genius because they can basically insert text. So something, if you want them to manually type something on the page, have them do text box. They can insert images. They can embed. They can embed YouTube links and other media. I don't get into that too much with my students, but the main one we use is the Drive. So it's brilliant. You don't have to go anywhere. New Google Sites will pull up your account right here, all the files you have in your Drive right here. So let's say I wanted to put this image. I could have, on the insert menu, I could have clicked image and then gotten the image, or, but I'm doing it through the drive. So let's see, let's put this image. All you have to do is double tap it or click on it and then click the blue button that says insert. Just double tap it and it Google Sites puts it on the page for you. From there, the one feature that I use all the time is to have them add a caption. And the reason I have them add a caption, not only so that they can write their summary and their reflective bit about what they just did and what this piece of learning is, but if you have them, because they could add a text box and put it underneath the image, but the caption is nice because when you do it this way, and then they click out, then if they go to move it, the picture and the caption move simultaneously. And that's another thing that's really neat about new Google Sites is you can have them position their evidence of learning in any format that you like, or just leave it open and have the kids do it on their own.
Eric, can you show, let's say that you're ready with your portfolio, you're happy, and then now you're going to share it with your teacher.
Okay, sure.
Can you show that? How do they publish it, and then how to keep it private?
Okay, well, I think what you're talking about, Brenda, is just using the share option, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so the menu is going to come up. I'm the author, but I want to share this wonderful creation with my brilliant co-presenter. So I'm going to type her name in there, click the link. I can give her editing rights, or I can just publish it and have her be able to look at it. I don't ask my students to change this, so I leave it as editor and then click on send. I think that's what we're asking, right, Brenda?
Yes.
Okay, so let's see. So you have an image there. You have a caption that goes with it. The caption can be, if you remember from my example of my student, the caption can be as long or short. It'll float with the length of the text that's inside of it. So if a student wants to write 500-word caption, no problem. If they want to write a 10-word caption, no problem. And that's pretty much the down and dirty basics of getting started with new Google Sites. You create the site, title it, create some pages, and then inserting the content. If your students are like ours and they have a Chromebook and a Google account, this is genius because most of the things they're going to create digitally are going to be in their drive. And so it all becomes very, very simple for them to just access all those files and either drag them or insert them onto the correct page of their portfolio. Are there any questions coming through, Brenda, about?
Yes. For each doc or sheet or slide that is linked on the website, do you need to change the privacy setting?
No, the sharing setting would be global for the whole site.
Mm-hmm. Just to confirm, security is under settings or when you publish?
You mean security as far as who can see the site? Yeah. So
yes.
If a student is just creating their site, then no one can see it until they share it.
Mm-hmm. And something that we started with is just having the students just sharing with us, and if they're going to share with another teacher, it would be just within your district. Do you want to show that option?
I think I follow what you're saying. So if so let's say a student has multiple teachers that are all so a student could have a page for Ms. Nievas, a page for Mr. Anderson, a page for Ms. Thornton. Is that what you're saying?
Right. So instead of just, where you click on the links, it gives you the option, click links. No, go to links.
Oh, down here. Sorry, my Zoom toolbar was blocking that.
Change. There you go. So,
so
yeah, that one.
For right now, only people in our domain can find this particular site, but you can make it public. And then you can still have it restricted so that only people you share the link with can actually see the site, or you can make this also anyone with the link, which basically anyone on the internet can find the link and then open it. But the other one, if you restrict it, then that's gonna make it so that you would need to provide the link, and then people can see the site that way. You might want to leave it pretty much like this for right now. I would suggest that. That way it's only open to people in your domain. And then if you need to share it with like a parent that's not in the domain, it's quite easy to just add them up above to the people who can then see the site. So you can add those people outside of the domain individually. It's a little bit easier that way and a little bit more secure.
Yes.
What do you guys think? Is this any kind of idea you might be interested in using next year? I think I saw a couple of comments more toward the beginning. A couple of people seemed kind of excited that they were going to turn around and start using portfolios. All right, solid.
Do you provide students with a template?
Okay, so the template would be me creating a screencast, like recording myself, like what I just did with you guys, very briefly. What I would do is I would set up, I would show them in a screencast, me setting up all the pages, and each page would be a unit that we're going to do during the semester or during the year. So yeah, I like to do it that way. I like to do it that way. That way students see that they have a kind of a book that they have to, now all the chapters are there. Now they have to add the content. They have to actually write that. And I just think it gives them visual confirmation instead of just me saying, hey, we're going to build our own websites, and we're going to do some physical computing, and then we're also going to learn how the internet works. All that's like blah, blah, blah. They come in here and they're literally creating pages with those same exact titles. How the internet works, developing a website. I think it just registers more in their minds and their hearts. So, oh, I'm going to be doing all this stuff. Oh, and also here's a big blank page. What's going to go there? How am I going to do that? So that it gets them to start thinking about it.
You may want to start like the very first page that you asked them to create. It should be all about them, something that they like, you know, hobbies, movies, something that they're into it. So it's just easier for them to grasp the steps that they need to take in order to create their portfolio.
Like a splash page, like an all about me page.
There you go. Yeah, because if you're like, okay, yes, I told you the why we're going to do this. Now let's create it. And then you're like, okay, and then we're going to add the math assignment that we had, or the report, or you know, the assignment for history. You're going to turn them off. So start with something that is relevant to them, and then slowly transition them to content.
Thanks so much, everybody. We really appreciate y'all being here. It was great. We hope to hear from you during the year and to touch base with you and see how it's going.
Yes, absolutely.
If you use portfolios. Thank you again.
Yes, thank you so much, everybody. We hope you're enjoying Google Camp 2021. We'll see you after the lunch hour for the last session of the day, and that one will start at 1:10. Thank you again, Brenda and Eric. You have a wonderful afternoon.
Thank you, Aranza. Thanks for your help. Thanks for your great help.
Everyone. Bye, guys.
Bye.
Bye.